We're joined on the phone today by John Kassir. You might know him as the voice of the Crypt Keeper on the show Tales from the Crypt. John, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, my pleasure, Dustin. Thank you.
Well, I know October is usually a pretty busy month for you. I'm sure a lot of the conventions probably called off here in the last year or two, but what have you been up to as of late? Are you still keeping busy?
I pretty much canceled most of the events, or they canceled most of the events, due to COVID and that kind of thing. But, as a result, I've been doing a lot of online stuff for fans and, group signings and that type of thing, which is a lot of fun. It was a busy year. It was actually during the pandemic. I worked a lot out of my home studio in terms of voiceover work, which was a blessing, of course, to be able to do that. Did Flora and Ulysses, which was a big movie for Disney this year, and I played Ulysses the squirrel, and and that kind of thing. So, as far as on-camera stuff, it was kind of an impossible thing. But to even think about now that I have a bunch of protocols, but it would have to be something really worthwhile for me to take that risk. But, it's slowly but surely we'll get back into it. And I really look forward to being able to mingle with the fans again in terms of the Tales from the Crypt stuff, especially this time of year. It's always fun. But other than that, life's been really good. My wife and I feel really blessed,
Yeah, that's great that things are going well. And, of course, that helps with the voiceover stuff. The pandemic didn't really mess a lot of that up. I'm sure you can still do a lot of that from home.
Yeah, still worked on Dota, which was a series that I've done two versions of. And working with a lot of fun people. We did, that series and a number of games, and, I can't mention a lot of those things until they come out because you sign all these NDAs now. I don't, if I told you, I'd have to come kill you. But it's been a fun work year. Obviously, we've had a lot of challenges, all over the world in dealing with it, and I never lose sight of that when it comes to putting myself out there for friends and family and fans, in terms of giving them my time when I can. I mean, there's a lot of things that people, need for escapism just to get out of their heads with all this stuff. And certainly social media helps with that. I've been doing a lot of cameos, which is a lot of fun. Obviously, I'm not going to get rich on those, but I price them for my fans. There's some people who charge hundreds of dollars for those, and I understand why. It takes time and it takes effort. And for me, I have to come up with puns for each and every person and and all that stuff. But I make it available for people. I've done everything from announcing people's weddings to gender reveals, to birthdays, to Halloween salutations, to penile surgery that somebody was making an announcement about, or somebody was razzing one of his friends about. So it's been, so it's kind of a crazy thing, but it's fun because, with the show not on the air anymore, it's most of the Crypt Keeper stuff that I do is not really challenging. It's really just about FaceTime and enjoying, going down memory lane with friends or whatever, but, and fans. But this allows me to come up with something unique for each person that requests one. So that's been kind of fun. Also working on one called Memo, which is a lot of fun, which does a lot of similar kind of thing. They have their own website. So that's been fun. I'm really enjoying that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I know, John, you've been at it for a long time here. I know you started back doing stand-up. I wanted to ask you a bit about that. I mean, you were on the scene at a time
Sure.
when a lot of the stand-up legends were really on the road. That must have been great to kind of hobnob with some of those guys.
Well, let me tell you something. One of my favorite things to do was sit in the audience and work the other comics' work. I watch the other comics work. I don't know if you know how I wound up being a stand-up comic, but it wasn't something that I originally aspired to do, although I had dabbled in it a little bit more with sketch comedy than stand-up and improv. And I was in an off-Broadway show, musical, about stand-ups called Three Guys Naked from the Waist Down. And of course, the first question people always ask, were you? We kind of were and kind of weren't. It was, think a musical, think Dreamgirls, but with stand-up comics. It was a musical about three stand-up comics and their rise into the industry and their rise and fall in the industry, and starred Scott Bakula and myself and a guy named Jerry Colker, who wrote the book and lyrics for the show. Michael Rupert wrote the music, who had won a Tony Award for acting in Sweet Charity, and had done Pippin on Broadway, and who had was the original lead in March of the Falsettos, and the really talented people involved in this musical. And it was a big hit off Broadway, and people saw me in it. These people came up to me and they go, "Hey, we're from this show called Star Search." And I go, "It was in its first season." I go, "I've heard of it. They go, "We want you to be on the show." And I'm like, "What, as a singer?" I was like, at the time, Sam Harris was killing it on the show. And I was like, I can sing. I'm in a musical, obviously, but I can't, I'm no Sam Harris. And they're like, "No, we want you to come on as a stand-up comic." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not really a stand-up comic, right? It's a part I'm playing." They go, "Well, you can win $100,000. I'm like, "Shit." Where do I sign up? I'll be working on my act tomorrow. You can win $100,000. And I was like, "I'll do it," So, I went on the show and I pulled everything out of my bag of tricks from my street act to, some of the material that I had written when I was in high school with my buddy Fred, when we used to do the morning announcements and the talent shows. And, I had created, I didn't have any jokes really. I had created this persona of this guy who was addicted to television. And, so I was kind of making fun of pop culture through our television references. And, I would do like the Wizard of Oz in 2.5 minutes, that kind of thing. "As mayor of the Munchkin City in the county of the Land of Oz, we welcome you most regally." What's them? That's the castle of the Wicked Witch. Oh, Dorothy's in that awful place. Oh, I hate to think of her in there. Fellas, we've got to get her out. I got a plan how to get in there, and you're going to lead us. All right, I'll go in there for Dorothy. Wicked Witch or no Wicked Witch, gods or no gods is just one thing I want you fellas to do. What's that? Talk me out of it. That was the stuff that I was doing on the show, and I kept winning and wound up in the, bleeding over into the second season as the continuing champion. Brad Garrett was already in the semifinals and won the first season, and I came back as the continuing champion going into the second season. And continued to win and wound up beating Rosie O'Donnell in the semifinals and Sinbad in the finals. And the next thing I know, they're like, "Oh, you're going to be opening for Tom Jones in Vegas." And, they're patting me. I was like, "I can't open for Tom Jones in Vegas." They're like, "Why not?" They go, I got no fucking act. How am I going to open for, Tom Jones in Vegas? And they're like, "Well, you better get your ass into the clubs and work one up." Wound up opening for the Temptations and the Four Tops on their TNT tour. And, after a while, of course, everybody wanted, as a Star Search winner, they wanted me to headline. I had to have an hour and a half material as a headliner. And, but truly one of my favorite things to do was sit in the back of the club and watch, the Jerry Seinfelds and the Bill Maher's and the Jay Leno's and the all these people coming up just starting to hit, just starting to make it, you know, Jim Carrey and all these people. And so I had a free ticket anytime I wanted to sit in the club and watch the other comedians work. It was a lot of fun for me. I never really loved that much doing the road, but I certainly got my taste of it. You know, opened, did some openings in Vegas and that kind of thing, and, you know, Atlantic City, and for some big acts, opened for the Temptations and the Four Tops on the TNT tour, and Lou Rawls and Bobby Vinton and Richard Belzer, and, you know, a number of different people. And you know, it led to my television career of doing sitcoms and First and 10 on HBO and that kind of thing. But when they asked me to audition for Tales from the Crypt, it was the perfect kind of thing for me, because everybody knew I did these voices and these characters. And so it really kind of opened the door for my voiceover career as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I remember the first time I saw you was in a commercial for The Legend of Zelda.
That was bizarre, because up until then, most video games were like, you know, Space Invaders or Pong or, you know, Donkey Kong or Pac-Man. You know, there weren't these levels of play where you could go into different levels and, you know, move through these scenarios. And The Legend of Zelda was huge in Japan already, and they were just launching it here in the United States. And so I hadn't even seen the game yet. And so they showed me the game, and then they just had me improvise all morning, and it made me look like, you know, the guy in Eraserhead with my hair sticking straight up, and, you know, played with the camera and did all the, you know, imitated all this P-hats, did all the different characters in the game. And it was a huge commercial. I mean, I'm sure you can probably find it on YouTube. I'm sure it's out there. Just put in John Kassir with Legend of Zelda, and it comes up. It's probably not very good quality at this point, though it's probably been passed around so many times. But it was, you know, I've had some of the most bizarre things in my career. I think if you went through my IMDb, you'd be like, oh my God, look at the vast, weird, you know, variety of stuff that I've gotten to do. And worked with some of the giants in the business. Speaking of giants, Jack the Giant Slayer was, I actually got to play a small head on, you know, Bill Nighy, the British actor Bill Nighy's shoulder, you know, for Jack the Giant Slayer. And my character's name was Smallhead, and he was a bizarre sublingual character. But, you know, that starred Bill along with Stanley Tucci and Ewan McGregor and Eddie Marzan and all these incredible actors in that show, in that movie. Nicholas Hoult played Jack, and it was just an amazing opportunity to shoot that in London, working with you know, some of the beasts in the business.
Yeah, and you mentioned eventually landing the voice of the Crypt Keeper on Tales from the Crypt, which obviously that was a lot of people's kind of like Twilight Zone for my generation. Did you follow the comics as a kid, or did you kind of just go into that cold?
Oh no, the fact that I collected those comic books as a kid, I wouldn't say I was a collector so much as just that I had some. My grandfather used to have this little bodega type store as a kind of a side business. And when my cousins and I would all go down to his store when we'd all be together in the summer or around Christmas or something, to visit my grandparents, we'd all walk down to the store. And of course, my grandfather would be like, he was very old. He'd be like, pick, you know, a magazine from the magazine rack or whatever. And of course, all my other little male cousins were all trying to get like the girly magazines, Playboy or whatever, from the top rack. And of course, above the top rack was the Tales from the Crypt comic books, and, you know, EC Comics. And I loved those, you know, and they were very controversial back then. And of course, my mother didn't want me to have them. I would hide them in my Casper comics and other stuff. And, so when I went to audition, they had the audition down at Kevin Yeager's studio where he was working on the puppet and creating the look for the puppet. And I was just excited to go down to Kevin Yeager's studio and see the guy who had created, who had made Chucky and designed Freddy Krueger and all these other incredible creatures and monsters and stuff that he had all in his shop. And when I saw what the Crypt Keeper looked like, I put all my best Crypt Keeper-ish type things in there. I could see some of the other actors who were auditioning, reading the puns and stuff and going, oh my God, this stuff's terrible. They didn't get it, They didn't understand that this is Shakespeare to the Crypt Keeper, And I started thinking, Alfred Hitchcock. I remember Alfred Hitchcock saying that puns were some of the highest form of alliteration, and, just had a real blast doing it for Kevin. And he was laughing so hard that he got me laughing. And that was, that was it. I was like, here the Crypt Keeper was enjoying himself so much, or I was enjoying myself so much doing the Crypt Keeper that it became part of the fiber of that character. And he had me doing it for Joel Silver and Richard Donner in their office like the next day, who were, definitely some of the biggest guys in the business. And at that time, maybe the biggest guys in the business. And, they were like, okay, we'll see you on the set. And you're like, okay, that was easy, but I had already been working for HBO for a number of years. And, HBO was not in everybody's household at that time. It was one of those up and coming channels that you had to pay extra for, but it was quickly becoming more popular. So, that's how I got the part. And it launched an entire voiceover career for me on top of my on-camera work. So, and my theater work. So it's been, I've been very, very lucky and very blessed to have had those opportunities to, create that part of my craft.
Yeah, it's weird to think of that character with a different voice. Obviously you were all in, and as time went on, were you able to have more input in the scripts? As far as the puns and the Crypt Keeper stuff.
Well, they had great writers, and whenever they would like pimp out the Crypt Keeper for some commercial or something like that, if the writing wasn't good, it didn't fit the Crypt Keeper as well. It was very hard to deliver it. So I was very lucky to have good writers, but I used to have to do so much improvising for interviews and stuff as the Crypt Keeper. I mean, I would be on every season that we would launch the show or launch one of the movies or something special in Tales from the Crypt. I'd start early morning drive time interviews. I do, 50, 60 of them over 2 mornings. And they'd start on the East Coast and move their way across the country as it was turning 8 o'clock. And, they would want to interview the Crypt Keeper. So I would have to improvise as the Crypt Keeper. And I'd have pages of puns and stuff that they had written and I had written and, and that kind of thing to pretty much curtail anything that they would ask me. But, after a while, we had so much fun doing it. I was working with Gil Adler, who was the showrunner and also head writer, and along with Alan Katz and Kevin Yeager would be in the studio, so that we would get the performance that he knew that he could direct with the puppeteers. And I'd be cracking them up doing, the Crypt Keeper doing John Wayne or Marlon Brando in A Streetcar Named Desire. Stella! Doing that kind of stuff. And the next thing I know, it's showing up in the scripts. But truly, it always came down to good writing on their part and me building upon that. Now, of course, years and years later, it's all, me trying to remember some of the Crypt Keeper's best quips and coming up with mine down the road. But, the personality, the way that they built the Crypt Keeper, the Crypt Keeper's personality was off my delivery and off, my personality, and they were really good at it, helping me do that, or giving me the opportunity to do that. And by, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh seasons, they were they were treating it as though it was John Kassir doing a stand-up, but it was the Crypt Keeper. So they would have him doing all kinds of crazy stuff or imitating all kinds of, he'd be doing Howard Stern as a shock jock, that kind of thing. It was a lot of fun. Then eventually from there, they started taking advantage of the fact that I did musicals and stuff and started coming up with record albums, the Cryptmas album and, the Monsters of Rock and the Crypt Jam and all these other fun things that the Crypt Keeper could do, so it was kind of fun. Then, there was a point early on where they were going to try to replace me because I didn't want to do it for scale anymore. I was ripping my vocal cords out just to show up and do it. And I had tons of scale jobs. So it was kind of like, can you pay me just a little more to work on this? And they're like, we're going to replace you. I was like, and they couldn't, like you said, they couldn't, once we had put that mark on that character, they couldn't really find anybody who could do something that fit, after that. And so it was kind of cool that, I was able to put that much of a mark on the character and the puppet that Kevin had so beautifully designed. And puppeteers were so great at making him come to life physically. So, it was a real, when you work on as an actor, in a movie or a really good series like this, it's definitely a group effort where this is a, it's a collaborative art. And so often people forget that, and that's where those things fall short. But this succeeded on every level because it was collaborative in every way, could be.
Yeah, and it's definitely, as you mentioned, an iconic character that everyone still remembers real fondly. I think you mentioned the Christmas album. That was probably my favorite. I don't know why that was greenlit, but definitely great.
Yeah. It's so funny because people are like, why do you like that so much? I was like, because there's something twisted about mixing Christmas with horror. Tim Burton's obviously done it, and Tales from the Crypt did it with All Through the House and in number of episodes that took place during Christmas and that kind of thing. But it was just so well done. When I showed up, I was expecting to have some canned music that I could sing to and improvise to and that kind of thing. They had, I think, 16, 17 songs on that album, whatever it was, but I can't remember exact number, but there was a lot of songs. And, some of it was going to be rapped and improvised by me and that kind of thing. When I showed up, they had all the tracks, recorded from an actual orchestra and stuff. So they really went out of their way to make something quality. Fortunately, we sold out every single one that was pressed that first release of the album on Polygore Records, and unfortunately never re-released it because there are people to this day that ask me where they can get it. And it's one of those things that if you saw it at a checkout stand in Starbucks or something, you'd get like 3 of them, sell them to, for your friends or whatever. And of course, now with everything streaming, you'd certainly want to download it from everywhere. But it's fun stuff. I had a lot of people tell me. I had a surgeon told me around Christmas he would play it in the OR when he was operating all the time, which I just thought was a hoot.
Yeah, and of course that eventually landed the Crypt Keeper cartoon, and I know you did Tiny Toons, a lot of other cartoons and video games. That really seems to be the new kind of area that the voiceover artists are really kind of cashing in on, the video games.
Yeah, I remember being asked to bring to life Deadpool for the first time, and I was like, oh, I love that character, and I think they thought of me because he talks to the camera and he's got a sly sense of humor, and he has you have to sell some like kind of corny jokes that he loves saying, and they were like, no, let's get the guy that did the Crypt Keeper. And so, it was fun to originate Deadpool. And the fun thing about doing voiceover work is I get to play characters I would never get to play on camera. On camera, you're mostly limited by, your age, sex, race, how you look and what impression people get of you. As a voiceover artist, I can play everything from, male, female, big, small, superhero. You don't even have to be human. I play a lot of non-human characters, everything from Nico the raccoon to, Elliot and Pete's dragon to Ulysses. They used to bring me in to do animals on the Simpsons, everything from Santa's little helper to, a donkey who was in love with Homer. So, it's a no holds barred kind of job, and I love it for that.
Yeah, well, again, it's great that everything's going so well for you, John. And I know you mentioned
thank you.
You got the conventions and the cameo and some other things. Is there anything else maybe in the works that we should be looking out for?
Well, we're always doing a lot of. It's funny because especially the voiceover gigs were really, they kind of, we have to sign these non-disclosure agreements. Like it's always hard to talk about stuff until they come out. Some of the biggest projects that have been out that were popular this year, besides doing stuff like Scrooge McDuck, doing Ulysses and working on Dota and Dota 2, they had a lot of the writers loved having horror personalities on the show, and we had everybody from Cassandra Peterson, who we know as Elvira, to Andrew Robinson, doing voices with us on that, and Ashley Lawrence, all these different, horror personalities coming on and doing dragons and other kinds of really cool characters. So obviously we'll stay busy, and I'm always people can always follow what I'm doing on Facebook or Twitter, all under my name, and Instagram. Although I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram, I do eventually get the stuff. I get a lot of requests for to record music with people and to do their stories and that kind of thing. I don't own the Crypt Keeper character, so I can't do a lot as the Crypt Keeper for people, but certainly can entertain as John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, for people, and enjoy that part of my career. But there's so many different characters that I've gotten to do over the years. One of the more popular ones I still find is everything from CatDog to Rocket Power, Ray Rocket on Rocket Power, the dad on Rocket Power. Otto, did you do your homework? This is a very popular one. So, it's good to leave behind a legacy of characters. I mean, some people really strive to make themselves a personality, and for me, it's about bringing to life all these other personalities, and I really enjoy that.
John, again, I'm a huge fan of yours, and I met you, I think it's been about 10, 12 years ago at Crypticon in Minneapolis, and I'm glad we finally were able to get this on tape here. I appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure, Dustin. Thank you. You have a good one.
All right.
We'll do this again, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe some Christmas down the road. We'll play that Christmas album for you.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. I would love to do that.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot, John. I appreciate it.
You bet. Take care.
And again, that was John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt. And he's got a lot of stuff coming up. You can also find him on Cameo.